spiritual director looked at me and said, well, Devany, what if you're not a tool? And my thoughts went to, well, then if I'm not a tool, and so everything I do isn't to be a product, to be supportive or helpful to someone else, and my purpose is not productivity, then what is purpose? I love to sing, and singing is not productive. And adults don't really sing in choirs, but I haven't done that in a while. And I just started moving towards these places of aliveness because I had dropped the expectation that everything had to be productive.
Oh, Dev. Why am I crying?
That is how I have experienced flow moments. There was alignment happening, which I think has drawn me like a North Star.
Welcome to God, I Love You, a podcast for the woman who left the rules but kept the reverence.
We're Devany and Meredith, soul friends walking the messy, mystical, unapologetically feminine path.
We are done tidying our souls for anyone.
We start where it hurts and stay for the healing. We're so glad you're here. Welcome back. We are in episode 4, and today we are going to talk about North Stars and coming back to a place that guides us from within. And I'm really grateful that after episode 3, where we talked about needs and how we meet them, can we meet them, a listener named Teresa sent this quote that is so beautifully descriptive of where we're going for episode 4 that I wanted to start reading what she sent me. It's a quote by Rumi, and he says this: "Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you truly love." I'll read it one more time. Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you truly love.
Wow, that is so beautiful.
Rumi.
And that's episode 4. That's basically it. There we go.
See you next time. Thank you, Rumi, as forever.
On the length of a teaser. So last time on episode 3, we talked a lot about thriving, and we'll do a little recap over that because we want to be sure that we say that thriving isn't always an achievable state. It's something that we effort at. And the question is, are we actually listening to ourselves? Can we listen to ourselves? Can we turn towards ourself as the journey of discovery instead of getting that from an outside source? This is an inside job. It always has been. It's very difficult to not lose focus on that. And it begins with flow. There's a flow in meeting our needs, and that is not easy. And it's not easy for us either.
No, it is not. And I think that's where I love the word flow and the idea of what if the invitation, like you said, is not like some prescriptive, do this, this, and this, and you're going to feel good situation, but instead the inside job of listening to where we're at and then attuning to what we need, which can change moment to moment. That is why we've been talking about it for 5 years, because we're still trying to figure it out.
But there is this point that you're mentioning of like the faster that we can understand that we are a multiplicity of things and influences and parts of our personality and all of those things, the quicker we can realize that, the easier it's going to be on us as we go through life and make our mistakes and get our wins and our losses. And of course, like the great irony is that there is no quickness in truly knowing that. It is a slow burn process of understanding how many little bits we're made of.
And it makes me think of, we were just so grateful to all of you guys who reached out, who voice memoed, texted, DM'd, that there was a bit of a theme around, like, I had different women and you did too, Mary, just like the gratitude for, and also this like ache of, oh, am I too late to figuring out all my little parts and for meeting my needs and even knowing what they are, and that we're not too late. We're just grateful that you all wanted to join in listening, and our hope is as you continue to explore and discover yourself, and maybe this feels like invitation, permission, I don't know, take what you want, but we're just really grateful that you're all journeying with us. It feels very in that way.
Yeah, I hope this podcast feels like a permission slip for for self-discovery. Okay, before we get too far into this episode, we are talking again, like we said, about North Stars. We just want to, again, name that we're speaking from our own perspectives. This is shaped by what we have known ourselves, what we have lived ourselves. And inherently, that means that our lens is limited and we're going to miss things. We're just one thread in this huge tapestry, this larger story that's been woven with the wisdom of others.
Yeah. And that we both have benefited from systems of privilege and that we're still unlearning and we don't expect to get it
Mhm.
all right. In fact, we won't. But we feel strongly about pointing you toward the teachers who have shaped us and who carry wisdom beyond our own. And we are just committed to learning and to hearing from you.
Yep. So, yes, please know that your voice matters here. We've already received, like Devany said, so many comments, and it's been such an expansive process so far. We want to continue to learn from you, to receive your feedback, your thoughts, as we start to build this community.
Yeah.
Let's dive
So
in. Yeah.
let's dive in. There's a sense of flow to it, that I don't mean the same thing in every moment of every day, in every week, in every month, in every season. And there's instead of like, here's my prescribed formula of how I'm going to do my best to thrive. There's a flow of knowing myself and Meredith of you knowing yourself. And that word flow again brings us back to water. And that is kind of what we wanted to talk about before we talk about North Stars. So make that big connection, Mare. It's actually a poem you sent to me. Um,
Oh,
it was about a couple months ago by Kahlil Gibran. Am I saying that correctly?
hmm
Thank you.
to my knowledge. Yeah.
Great. It's a poem on fear, and in the places where I have felt afraid, I was going through a season of just feeling afraid of some things, and you sent me this poem called Fear. And essentially, in this beautiful, heart-wrenching, heart-opening way, he described how the way that we move through fear or move beyond it is to remember that every river at the end is going to flow into the ocean, regardless the path it takes to arrive. And it's the surrender into the ocean itself that we are ever held, ever connected, regardless of the blocks and the moments of I'm not getting it right or I didn't get it right. And I think that idea of the ocean being this source of aliveness, of mystery, of that which can't be named, that we are swimming in every moment,
Mm.
even when I can't remember. And so that feels important that there's a larger source where we are held.
Yeah. As you're speaking, I'm just getting this sense of inevitability.
Mm.
The river will inevitably go back home to the ocean.
Mm.
There's a gravitational pull there. Even if the river stops or if it dries out in a certain part of its bed, it's going to be taken back up into the air and moved to the ocean to become a drop again in the ocean. We're always going back to source, whether or not we get stunted on the journey, whether or not we get there in a rapid flow, or we're misting back into the ocean. It's inevitable. That's where we come from. That's where we'll return to.
I got goosebumps because I think what you described, that image of flowing like a river back into source, you know that feeling of flow where you're in a state of flow. Artists, creators, musicians, writers, people speak to this. And I think that state of flow may just be, at least in my experience, kind of a tug of, oh, I'm in alignment with my
Mm.
aliveness. I'm in flow. Like I'm in flow with the greater source, doing the thing in my beingness that vibrates with the reflection of the divine, with the reflection of life back to life. Um, it might be a stretch, but I do think early on in my journey when I was really trying to discern and still every day of like, where am I going? What am I supposed to be
Mm.
doing? Who am I? Right? I can overthink it, overthink it, overthink it. And then there's like those moments of flow state where I'm like, how freaking cool to be a human in this moment. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I love that you just pulled it out like that because I think that so often we think that flow is this like long span of time. And by that, I mean like, oh, I was in an hour of flow. And so it feels like we can't ever drop down into it because who has a free hour, right? But you're saying like as you're going, there's a second or a millisecond that you're aware that this life is so fucking cool and you get to be in it.
Mm.
And that's flow. That even that moment is flow. You're aligning with this huge, megalocosmos of amazingness. And then you can pop right out of it.
Mm. And those flow states reflect, I mean, we'll talk about when we feel tugged, like that we're in like alignment with our own beingness. That's like a very small concept too. But I think that flow state is, I'm guessing when we talk about it later, Meredith, that we're not going to have the same moments or the same things that we're doing. There's probably some overlap. Like I know that we get into flow
Mhm.
state on this podcast, which I mean, in conversation that has happened for the two of us. Like I know one of mine is like deep diving into existential questions there will never be an answer to. And yet I'm like, oh, this is so
So
enlivening.
so juicy.
But there's a story I think that will that helps orient in my journey that you and I were like, that's a good play. That's a story to tell. And it was, I guess this was probably 3 or 4 years ago where I was sitting in spiritual direction, and my spiritual director looked at me and said, "Well, Devany, what if you're not a tool?" And I remember everything tightening, everything getting really hot, and then everything opening, and then this like floaty feeling of I think I was just invited to like shatter a paradigm that I have been living in with that
Mm.
question. Devany, what if you're not a tool? And my thoughts went to, well, then if I'm not a tool, and so everything I do isn't to be a product, to be supportive or helpful to someone else, and my purpose is not productivity, then what is purpose? What like what? And as spiritual directors do, held silence. And I sat there being like,
Mhm.
oh, what if I'm not a tool? What if I'm not a tool? Then it means like my existing, my beingness is me? What? A and it was this new possibility of being me, and I left that session completely like, paradigm shattered, but in this space came permission to try. Like, it was very, like, curious and almost experimental of, like, what if like, as I have always learned, when I'm given a new paradigm or a new idea, it's like, I get curious about it. Like, I don't know if that's true. I'm gonna live it a little bit. And so and we invite you guys to do the same. Like, you are your own wise
Yeah.
sage. She's in there, he's in there. But I took it and was like, I'm gonna try this on for a bit. And so I started to notice, like, okay, if I'm not a tool, then like what perhaps is do I align towards my own direction, my own living?
Mm.
And I was like, oh, I love to sing. And singing is not productive, and adults don't really sing in choirs, but I haven't done that in a while, and my cousin at the time, who was at, the church we grew up at, he was like, "We're gonna do, like, a big cantata, and you don't have to be at the church, but if you wanna come sing with all these singers, like, come be in my choir." And he's an incredible musician and director, and so that was a season, I think because of that question, I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna do something that" it's just like 2 things collided. So I was like, "Yes." I go to choir, I spend, 6 I think it was 6 months of practicing with all these other adults, and there's something about and there was this remembering that just came up that I've always loved choir because when a room of different voices start singing and the harmony hits, and then, like, the
Mm.
disharmony hits, and then there's
Yes.
resolve, and it's just everyone's sound matters to feel the whole my whole body just vibrates with, like, because it's kinda like even, like, the stars sing at night. Like, it's for me, like, I have this mystical encounter every time I sing in a choir. And I just started moving towards these places of aliveness because I had dropped the expectation that everything had to be productive. It was wild.
Oh, Dev. Why am I crying?
I know. Every time I sing in a choir, I cry. Oh,
Oh man, that's the real stuff right there. What I was just I'm hearing this, I'm looking at your face, and you're speaking so slowly
mm,
and deliberately. Not that this is you're speaking deliberately because you're like really meaning it, and my shoulders are getting heavy, and I can
mm,
feel just a deep relaxation into
mm,
like the honesty and the dignity and the surety of what it felt like for you to fall into yourself, to fall
mm,
deeply into yourself. And it's almost like that slowness was also the process.
mm,
Like you can talk about it now in a paragraph because it's happened to you and you're integrated. But I remember that being so slow for you and that it doesn't happen fast.
mm,
And uh, there was this, God, as you're saying that, just a mystical quality of veil, like a very thin veil over your lived experience and the like setting into place or the settling into place. How, like,
mm,
when Legos click together, you're like, oh, that's the piece. That's
mm,
that foundational piece of you.
mm, mm.
Mm.
Yeah. And I loved how you said like a relaxing into, a surrendering into.
Mm.
That is how I have experienced flow moments or like alignment, like my inner and my outer, there was alignment happening, which I think has drawn me like a North Star. Like the North Star is outside of us. And we
Mm.
are made of stardust. We come from the earth. And there is this vice, like it's a subtle vibration when the alignment of my being is in alignment with the source that created my being, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
it happens in a room full of people doing yoga at the same time. It happens in a room full of people doing singing like singing, which when we went into my human design years ago, which we can put stuff in the show notes of how to if you're interested in that. But there's something about song that is really, really integral to my beingness. And yet I'm not like a surprise. I'm just gonna release an album. I'm kidding. Like
I don't mean to laugh so so big.
it's delightfully not me though, right? Like that's like,
I mean, do it. I don't know if it comes out.
dude, I know you'd listen. But I think what I'm getting at is it's not as like cut and dry of like, oh, well, if song makes me feel alive, I must be a singer. Like this it's like
Oh, yes.
there's these moments like when I sing, when I do yoga in a room full of other bodies, when I feel harmony. Like when I feel harmony, I don't have to
Mm.
feel harmony just by singing in a choir. Like it did something for me to then be like, "Oh, where are places where I feel harmony?" Like again, why I love being in community with other people and why I love and even I think story. Like I love telling stories and listening to stories and writing stories because there's a larger story and there's like harmony happening. Like every character has a part and it's like the weaving, right? Maybe it's weaving. So, needless to say, that 4 year ago, and I'm still discovering things about who I am, but those moments where I can surrender into trusting who I am is already here and then
Mm.
the subtle energies of love or aliveness that come online when I'm in something is what I started to become like a little detective about. Like I remember leaving being like, now I'm really curious. I'm gonna just start noticing. Um, as I still go about my normal day and do all the other things that I must do, you know?
Mm. It's the job of being human, right? We're here to chop wood and carry water, and
Yeah.
in between those tasks, these mega things come dribbling out for us in these bite-sized realizations or understandings or questions.
Oh, maybe
Wow,
that's
Dad.
it too. It's like already in you,
Yeah.
right? Like, I think that's why, again, I never get sick of a stardust metaphor because if we are made of the stars, right? And the North Star guides us, in history, everyone's always like, find the North Star and you can find your way home, right? Like,
Mhm.
orient to the North Star. And yet, if the star, like was a star, like, and they were made out of the dirt, now we're these human bodies that are made of stardust, that aligning with source is something that's already inside of you. It's a returning, a surrendering to hearing what's here. Like, I didn't need to have someone go and tell me to sing in a choir to find myself. I don't know. It's a silly
Oh,
example, but I think it's just important to know it's in you, right?
yeah, it's not. That's actually a really tangible and helpful example.
Mm.
This is what is so great about a North Star or like the North Star or,
Mhm. Sure.
not the metaphorical one, like actually Polaris, right?
Mm.
Is that the reason it's our North Star is because there are so many gravitational forces around the Earth. And it just these forces are pulling at the planet, they're pulling at you and me from all different directions. And somehow, miraculously, we are on this whirling planet at a certain angle, and that star is basically, at the center of it. And we're always seeing it because it's going straight up from the spine of the earth. And it is in alignment despite and because of all of the forces around it pushing and pulling and pushing and pulling and pushing and pulling, which is our work, our kids, our family, our beliefs, our origins, our
Mm.
environment. All of these things are spinning around us, and yet we do have a spine,
Mm.
and we can see that star. And I just found this out. This is actually really interesting. Is that in 2,000 years, Polaris will not be our North Star. Our We will have shifted our gravitational pull, the entire Milky Way will have shifted in a way that we're gonna get a new North Star.
Oh my gosh.
And isn't that just something to sit with when we talk about it metaphorically? Because
Hmm.
it's in there. Your North Star is in there. It's already in there. And we don't have access to all the layers of our being yet. We
Mhm.
get deeper and deeper access the more we're able to handle the access, right? So it unfolds. And my guess, I don't know. I mean, who knows? My guess is that the themes are generally the same, but what it is today is not what it is 2,000 years ago and 2,000 years in advance and whatever.
Man, Meredith, I just am so delighted for her. I'm like, she and I prepped, like, we're going to talk about North Stars. And here she goes, finding out all these facts that then turn into the most brilliant metaphor I've ever heard. I'm
Wow,
like so happily jaw dropped. But I think exactly what you said about inner alignment, it's already there. Like, the spine of the earth, like, directly aligns with Polaris, that we too have a spine, that we know when we're in inner alignment,
Mm,
right? With that which is ahead of us in the great mystery, and that in 2000 years it'll be a different North Star. So then you then said, and there will be change and shift, but perhaps not fast. 2000 years is a long time.
a long time.
But this process is slow. And you have a really good story about alignment and being in misalignment. I do love
Mm,
that invitation to consider the two because I definitely know in my body when I feel out of line with what I really care about. Like, maybe that's another idea about North Star. Like, what is it that, like, where we started with Rumi, like, what do you love? What do you truly love that pulls you? What do you really care about that pulls you? And I know when I'm not in alignment with that because I have all these other things I have to do. There's a large reasons. I mean, perhaps going into all the reasons we're misaligned, we don't have enough time for. But I really do like the story you shared about earlier. I mean, about misalignment, like, and that it's It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
Nothing
It's
wrong with that. That's how we find
Yeah,
alignment.
right. It's actually such a good teacher because it is so physical and you are gonna feel it. There's nothing
Mm,
that is mental that is not physical or
yeah.
energetic that is not physical or spiritual or emotional that is not also physical. That's the reality of living on this planet in these bodies is the unmanifest becomes manifest.
Oof, say
And
that
there's a
again.
shit ton of implications for that.
Yeah.
The unmanifest becomes manifest. We're at this inflection point, in between realms, and here we are, like this planet that gets to experience mass and matter and density, and that's not true of other places. Like, think of all the worlds that your imagination has built, right? Like, those things they're not material, and yet we have artists making these books and movies
Mm,
way in the past that now are becoming a physical reality. That's just like a very baseline, example, but this happened to me in a very physical way. If anyone is in my immediate orbit is very annoyed with me only talking about my plantar fasciitis lately. If you haven't had it,
it's
God
horrible.
bless you.
It's
It's
horrible.
horrible. It's your foot has basically like a web of fascia at the bottom of it that holds it together. And when it's in trouble, you get plantar fasciitis. And that is like this incredible heel pain. You
Mm,
can't walk. And that moves, it eventually moves all the way up, to your head. It's a very foundational structural issue. And what I didn't realize actually was uh, for me, started in 2018, 2019 after the birth of my child, but I had no idea. It
mm,
wasn't in my foot. It started in my hips. It's like, of course, like every woman gets
right.
the birthing hips. And so this didn't feel unusual to me. It just felt like a reality. And I ended up quitting. Oh, I used to play capoeira and I loved it. It was
Mm,
so life-giving to me, and it is also,
mhm.
like, very much on the ground and a lot of just, like, a very physical movement. I could not lower myself to the ground. This was 2020, I had to quit. And over time, just my body structure kept getting more and more painful until this last month or 2 where I finally couldn't walk.
Mm,
Um, like, I can't, like, go and walk my dog. And I have all these special shoes and all this stuff. And what I realized just this morning was that this entire time, these 7, 8 years, I have been blaming myself for not being in my body more, for not stretching, for not doing the appropriate things,
mm,
when the reality is actually that this body is decomposing in a way that's allowing a new body to exist.
mm,
Because over those 7 and 8 years, my mind has changed, my spirituality has changed,
mm,
my physical body, of course, has changed. So much has changed in me, has grown in me that growth cannot settle in this body anymore. And it needs new fascia, it needs
mm.
new collagen, it needs new muscles, it needs new places to land and to be because this old tissue is not able to sustain the growth. And so it
Mm,
feels so damn painful. It feels
mm,
so
mhm.
painful. And that's kind of what growth is, right? It is the tearing away and the tearing apart of the body, of the person, of the psyche, of
Yeah.
whatever it is. And so now whenever I'm in pain, I'm I get these new eyes. I get these new
Mm,
eyes to look at the pain. And also, I have found ways to support myself now in these last couple months in ways that I had not before. So
mm,
now I am tending to my body more. Now
mm,
I am wearing proper shoes. Now I'm doing all these things that makes me acutely aware of my pain, but it also is able to hold these healing parts of self.
mm. Oh, that realignment is painful. We feel
Yes.
misalignment. Realignment can cost, it can be painful, and yet new growth is happening.
Yeah. It needs a new place to land.
Mm,
It can't there's a reason why when you fertilize your garden and you change the dynamic of that soil, that something all of a sudden is gonna grow. It's not gonna grow in the crappy soil.
mm,
Same with our body.
mm,
This reminds me, I had a yoga teacher once when I was living in Denver who, we were doing some balance pose, and she was saying, balance is not the stillness. Balance is a moment in between this movement and that movement. It's the shifting back and forth that
mhm.
keeps you up. You don't have to be straight, but it's good to be up. It's good to be
Yes.
up. It's the in between. That's
And that
constantly what we're doing.
and there can be, like, really big movements of realigning to what you care about, in a day, in a season, and there are also micro movements in a day, in a season of
Mm,
just these little shifts of, like, how do I move towards what I care about and what I love, and I think, like, that beautiful question of, like, what do you truly love? Just to ask yourself that as a starting place, and knowing that pain and, like, even in your story, Meredith, of, like, it can't land in me the way that it used to because I have changed.
yeah.
So you've been making changes, and pain is a part of growth and a part of, it is a part of realignment. It has been in my story too. That I think that actually is a really, I almost said beautiful, but it's more moving. It's just a moving understanding for me of misalignment to alignment. And that you're in process, like you're in an active realignment phase as we're talking about realigning. So I
Right,
appreciate
right.
I appreciate
See,
that.
there it is. It's physical.
Yeah,
Everything is physical. Yeah.
everything. Mm. So this is where we pause to maybe just kind of like look back as to where we've come. We've left a lot to consider and ponder around a North Star. We'll converse more about it moving forward as we do. But for
Yeah.
today, how would you do you want to wrap up where we've been, Meredith? Or do you want me to?
I'll try it. This is such a skill of yours, but, um, where we've been is asking the question of Rumi, "What is it
Mm,
that you truly love?" And we talked about that in a very slow way, a very practical way, that there are these moments that just occur to you, and it's not occurring as if it's a new idea, it's just a deep remembering. I
mm,
forgot I love to sing. I
mhm,
forgot that there is harmony. I
mhm,
forgot that there's new wisdom in me.
mm,
It's this deep remembering that is bringing us back to what it is that we really love.
mm,
And as we find what it is that we love, and as we start to listen to ourselves, then we can find our own spine in our own alignment as all of these forces are swirling around us. And we're so glad they swirl around us, right? Because that is what keeps us upright. If they weren't swirling, then there is no movement, then we are puddles. So we get to look at these restructurings and these reframings as good medicine.
mm. It is also your skill. That was beautiful, and you were missing nothing.
Uh,
Uh,
oh,
shall
I
we
love you
give
so
it
much.
a 2-minute whoop? I do. God, I love you.
God, I love you.
Uh, shall we give it a 2-minute whoop and poop? Can we do
We
it?
will give it a 2-minute whoop and poop. Oh, yeah, wow, I gotta get my kids, don't
I
I?
know. So you have me. I'm actually more in time than your beautiful airy self.
Yeah, I am all over the place. Um, okay, yeah, yeah. Oh, can I go for my whoop? I just have something so exciting.
Yes.
I folded a fitted sheet. And it was totally by accident. This has eluded me for my entire life. But what I did was I grabbed it up by the middle.
Yep.
And then on the side. Did you know this?
No, I'm just dying that now I'm going to have the mystery to life solved. How do I do it?
Okay, here it is. It's for free. Yeah. Grab it up by the middle, and then some weird folding pattern's going to form. And you just grab that up with your other hand and start folding. And I started giggling. It was amazing. It was great.
Okay. Makes me really happy. My whoop was I got on the call today. I somehow got into the recording studio without you knowing it and had on my glasses. And you were like on your phone, and then you looked up and I was like, hey. And you started giggling. It made my whole day. I was like, why are you laughing?
I was not expecting to see a face there.
Nor one with her blue light glasses, which, okay, this is an extension of the loop, is that you said you started wearing these around because since I love your sensitivity, they're less than a sunglass, but a little bit more than the naked eye. Where in my brain, I would just want to wear them so that I could look cool in glasses. So I think I might try that after the call. I might just wear these the rest of the day.
Well, they're super cute on you. And reminder, if you're not watching us on YouTube, you get to see Dev. Get on there, and she's going to show you her cutie glasses. I took these yesterday. I have the same ones. I took them into Lowe's, and I do prefer a Lowe's over a Home Depot because of the lighting, but it made it even better.
Okay.
Even better. Yeah.
Okay. And I will do that. I'm going to try that today.
Yeah.
I do have a poop that I thought of right before this, and I'm not going to give a lot of story behind it, but having to parent at the end of the day around 8:45 p.m. when I am so dysregulated. That is just a hard thing to parent at that time of the day. Last night was a rough one. And I was like, man, I'm dysregulated and tired, and parenting still calls. And so I'm going to try. That was my poop.
Yeah, that's a big poop. That is so hard. That is so hard.
It was better. It's now morning, but
yeah, it's a new day.
It's a new day.
That sounds like an 8:15 bedtime to me.
All right. On it.
Which is impossible. We all know that's so impossible.
Literally impossible, but it's not a bad idea.
They're just ideas. My poop is that in a yoga class, when the instructor is like, let's just play, and then tries to teach you a very difficult floating pose or a balance pose. I'm like, that is not fun. No one wants to do that. It's not play. Don't alter the definition of play. It gets me every time.
Don't alter the definition of play.
I already have a hard enough time with it as it is. You don't want to.
Well, but we do leave you that. Go figure out your definition of play. That actually link you to your aliveness. I love the ending. Well done, Mare.
Well, that worked perfectly. Unplanned. Okay.
God,
we love you. God, we love each other. I love you, Dev.
I love you.
And have a wonderful week. Godspeed and good vibes.
Bye. Thanks for being with us on God, I Love You.
If something stirred or soothed you, share it with a friend or leave us a little love in the reviews.
And if not, that's okay. We're not here for gold stars.
You can find us at gilly.pod, Devany at illumin.within, and me at hibernate healing.
Until next time, Godspeed, good vibes, and God, we love you.